What should you do with your 401k once you retire or once you're over 59 and a half? Not many people know you can execute what's called an in-service distribution or in-service withdrawal. Do I just make up these terms? Yes, they are not real. I'm just kidding. They're very real. And what these are these are options for your 401k. So I'm going to tell you a quick story, and then I'm going to show you a real example on the screen of someone who came to me who was 61 years old with a 401k and found out how to reduce $10,000 worth of fees instantly. This is not rocket science. This is not Ozark stuff. This is legal stuff. I'm just going to show you. So an important thing to know, when you are over 59 and a half, not only do you now have the ability to withdraw funds from an IRA or a Roth IRA or a 401k, you have an option. You can say, even though I'm still working and I'm over 59 and a half, I'm going to move my 401k into an IRA. Why would anyone ever do that? Well, your 401k has limited options. I'm going to guess you have 15 options. Maybe there's a target date fund. Maybe there's 10 other funds. Generally, somewhere in the range of 10 to 20 options. Now, I'm going to tell you why that is the case and why I don't love this industry for many reasons. So, we're in 2024 right now. I'm trying to think. So maybe, I think it was 5 years ago, I was spending a week in the 401k department at a previous company I worked at called Nuveen. Now, not a lot of things I'm good at in life, but I'm an Excel whiz. I was brought into this company called Nuveen because I know how to create tax-free income. So I was helping these big institutions create tax-free income, but I wasn't feeling anything. I was helping make really wealthy institutions even more wealthy, but I didn't actually feel a connection to doing it, and I didn't love it. So I eventually left. But my point here, when I was at Nuveen, which is like Vanguard or Schwab or Fidelity, when I was in the 401k department, what happened is Fidelity called me up. And Fidelity, and I was shadowing this department, Fidelity called me up. It was my supervisor at the time, but technically me in the department. And they said, Ari, just for hypothetical, really, it was my manager's name, who I'm not going to say. They said, Ari, why is it that you guys have not wanted to be on our platform yet? I said, well, there's a very specific reason. And they said, tell me. And I said, you did not ask me about the performance of our funds. And they went, oh, so here's my plain English story. Ready? Fidelity calls up Ari. Hey, Ari, how much are you going to offer us to be listed on our 401k? And I said, wait a second. Are you asking me how much money we, as Nuveen, are going to pay you so that we are one of the 15 options you give to the 4,000 employees? They said, that's exactly right. I said, don't you want to know how well our funds have done or anything about what we're doing? They said, no, we just want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence. I go, no, you want to make sure you're paid well. So if all of you guys out there right now are wondering, why is it that I only have 10 options or 15 options or 20 options? Well, there are certain companies in bed with other companies, and certain companies will pay other companies a lot more money to be offered. Doesn't mean that it's the best option there. So when you have a 401k, and you are over 59 and a half, you have the ability to say, I'm going to keep working. I'm still going to add money to my 401k. I'm just going to move my current 401k into an IRA so I can invest in whatever I want. Hypothetically, you could keep the same exact investments. Let me show you an example why you do not want to do this. So I did this earlier this year, May of 2024. This person came to me. They had a 401k. Now, look at their 401k for a second. They had $1.4 million in their 401k. 77% of it is in this T. Rowe Price Blue Chip Growth Fund, $1.1 million in that one fund. 10% is in this ClearBridge Large Cap Growth Fund, about $141,000. 6% in a BlackRock Global Allocation Fund, about $86,000. 5.8% in a Fidelity Contra Fund, $82,000, and then cash. So I said to this person, I said, I'm not asking you to flip your life upside down. I'm saying keep working because you're not ready to retire yet. But I recommend moving your current 401k into an IRA, and hypothetically, you could do this mix of funds if you wanted to. I'm not recommending you do this. I'm just saying if we wanted an apples to apples comparison, I like companies like Vanguard. I don't believe in high fees. I'll explain why in a second. But Vanguard is a company I really like. The fees are certainly affordable, and I don't believe in paying for unnecessary fees. So This person said, okay, I get this. And I said, let's skip over the equities and the fixed income and the analysis and all of this stuff. And let's just talk about the fees for a second. And they're like, okay. And I said, right now, do you know your fees? And they said, I don't know. And I said, that's okay. It's hard to find out. But right now, you are spending $10,036 every single year for the investments you currently own. And they're like, I'm not aware of that. Is that really happening? I said, yes. Right now, you have this T. Rowe Price Blue Chip Growth Fund, and it has an expense ratio of 0.7%. What does that mean? Did you get a 10% return? No. You got 10% minus 0.7%. You got a 9.3% return. So this is not bad, meaning if the fee was 0.7% to own this fund, and every year it outperformed 0.7%, I'd say, guys, what are we doing? Let's own this fund. This is awesome. But the problem is there are years where this will underperform the fee, and you're still assessed the fee. So not only did it not beat what a traditional index would do, you're also assessed the fee. That eats into returns big time, okay? So you can see their net expense for that fund, meaning every single year, even though they don't see it, they're spending $7,700 a year. We can go down the line here, 0.7, 0.75, 1.09. Some of these way higher than I would like. So I said, what if you moved your money to an IRA and used Vanguard? The cost would be $800 a year. So I pretty much just, if you want to, saved you almost $10,000 in fees. And this person's like, oh my gosh, I did not know I could have moved my money when I was over 59 and a half. Who do I talk to? I said, go to your HR department, ask them about an in-service distribution or in-service withdrawal while you're still working. 99% of employers will allow this. And they're like, why didn't they tell me about this? I said, who do you think's making more money when you leave your investments there? They're making more money. So you always need to do right by you. And they're like, okay, but what about other planning? What about other stuff? I said, well, when it comes to other planning, you've got some red flags in your 401k. 95% of your wealth is in the US. 63% of what I'd want of a portfolio, you can see here, that's generally what I like to have. Now, do I recommend 100% equities for everyone? No. But when I'm looking at planning and just doing an apples to apples comparison, this is very risky. Now, they go, Ari, why is this so risky? I thought 401ks were safe. That's not the issue. The issue is that you're subjecting yourself to what's called S&P 500 risk. So on my screen right now, you're going to be able to see a chart, and let me just pull this up on one other screen because I want you guys to be able to all see this. So what you're going to be able to see on this chart, what if this person retired in 2000? Okay, what would have happened? Well, they would have been very upset. They might have even had to go back to work. If this person retired at 50 years old or 60 years old, better example, and from 60 to 70, they had the S&P 500, 95% of their wealth, it did really poorly. Meaning not only was it down about 4% on average in this 10-year period, that's the same time when you're spending on healthcare, when there's travel expenses, when we're doing a home remodel, when you're enjoying retirement, when I want you spending more because you have your energy, you have your health. Now, if they just got lucky and they got a good 10 years, we would never have this conversation. So this is something that can certainly go in your direction, but it can also go in the opposite direction. And I don't really like hope as a retirement strategy. So the point here is lots of areas for optimization, but the real issue with their plan, I said, was you have 64% of your investments in the large growth category. You don't have stuff going on anywhere else. And they're like, okay, what's the problem with that? I said, well, you're kind of like unintentionally trying to hit a triple or a home run, like baseball analogy. You're trying to hit a home run and you're hoping if this does well, awesome. But if it doesn't, it's going to be really difficult. Because let's pretend this person wants to retire at 60 and they want income. And let's pretend this part of the market is down. Well, we don't have many other spots we can withdraw income from, which means you have to sell something at a loss. You don't want to do that. So I prefer singles and doubles in retirement, in large part because you don't need to hit triples and home runs at this point. You need consistent income for the rest of your life. So just totally different ball game. They're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I didn't think about it that way. So lots of different things here. But ultimately, what I want you to think about, if you have a 401k or if you have a previous 401k, you can move that into an IRA or Roth IRA, respectively, if any of your portion is Roth 401k, and you can invest in whatever you want. I hope this video was helpful. If you learned something, please like this video. Please comment. Please share it with someone else that you want to retire early with. If you want access to all of the tools and strategies I use for my clients, you can check out the Early Retirement Academy. That is a good place to start. If you're like, no, I want to work with your team in more detail, I recommend that when you have north of $2 million. Traditionally, that's where we can add value to justify the fee. I'm the weird advisor that says everyone doesn't need one. Just depends where you're at in your stage of life. And so if you'd like, you can see in the description of this episode where you can find an advisor. Last thing I want to leave all of you guys with, it's a quick story. I promise it's not long, but I'm a very transparent guy. Not everyone loves how transparent I am. Clients like me, but a lot of advisory firms don't like me. And I'm going to explain why. And I want all of you guys to think about this if you're at Fidelity or if you're at Vanguard or if you're at any of these companies right now going, well, how should I think through my plan? Am I getting good guidance? How do I know if I'm getting good guidance? So here's what I like to say. What you're looking at on my screen right now, this is a comparison chart of what we do versus a traditional advisor. So I will often say, if you're looking for a traditional advisor, someone who's going to tell you you should do tax loss harvesting, you should rebalance, you should pick this stock, not that one, and when to collect Social Security, I'll say, don't hire me because I can't add enough value to justify the fee, and maybe don't hire any advisor ever. And Fidelity's like, Ari, you got to stop saying that. I'm like, why? They go, well, you're hurting my business and my clients watch your videos. And so now I'm having to justify the fee and it's kind of making my life harder. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not my problem. I need to add significant value in excess of our fee or no one should ever pay me. And it's just that simple. So they're like, no, I get that, but could you just like not say it as much and pipe down? I'm like, no, in fact, I'm going to now say it at the beginning of my video. They're like, no, don't say that. So I like to scare people, for fun. So the point of what we're doing is, yes, we do this, but it goes way deeper. So tax efficient placement, a fancy way of me saying, which account are we going to pull from? You have a Roth, you have a brokerage account, you have a traditional IRA. Where and how are we going to withdraw income in retirement to minimize tax liability? That's number one. Number two, when someone, so this is a true story, just funny, so I'm going to tell it quick. I won't go through every single one here, but someone came to me and they said, Ari, my tax preparer sucks. I go, that's a weird word. Why do they suck? They go, they didn't tell me tax brackets are changing next year and that should impact my retirement. I said, what else? They go, they didn't tell me that if I'm intentional with my withdrawal strategy and spend more in the first 5 years of retirement, that I can minimize my lifetime tax bill by doing conversions at the same time. I said, what else? They go, they didn't tell me that if I do tax gain harvesting for the first few years of retirement, that's going to save me more money than Roth conversions. And I said, your advisor, or preparer, should I say, is never going to do anything like that. So they're like, you agree? They suck. Finally good to get validated around here. I was like, no. I don't agree. They don't suck, and you're asking too much of them. In fact, I believe you're beating up a waiter. They're like, what do you mean beating up a waiter? Like, is that a catchphrase? Is that a root thing? I go, no, it's not a root thing. What that means is when it comes to tax prep and tax planning, there's a difference between tax preparation and tax planning. So a tax preparer, I like tax preparers. They file returns, but they're so busy, probably time to file 400 returns, that when you ask your advisor a tax question, they're probably going to tell you to talk to your CPA. And your CPA is going to tell you to talk to your advisor. So now all of a sudden, you have a new job where you're coordinating this. The job of a tax planner is to do what's called forward-looking planning. Not just filing your return, but saying, what should we do to optimize healthcare subsidies? What should we do when it comes to our real estate? What if we want to downsize? What timing should we? What if inheritance is coming in? Should we change our filing status? What about estate taxes? What about IRMA planning when Medicare comes on? What about donor advised funds? What about, should we be doing charitable giving? Where's income going to come from? How much should we be saving? And really, when should we stop? What about equity compensation? So what we're doing is forward looking. And they're like, oh, so I should stop beating them up? I go, yeah, we're the chef. We're the one trying to create all the tax plan. What we do is minimize your bill. They're just trying to file your return. And I'll say, in fact, it would be weird if they recommended Roth conversions, because when you do a conversion, you have to pay more taxes today. That almost goes against their business model, because their job is to go, Ari, look how much I saved you in taxes. Would you pay me again next year? For them to say, Ari, you're going to love me. Check this out. Ready? Pay me $40,000 in taxes. You're going to be like, you're like the worst tax preparer ever. Now, they're not if they educate you well, but we just need to always understand interest. So some people that reach out, and I often will joke with people and say, my job is to scare you away, because what we do isn't for everyone. It's for clients that want the next level holistic optimization planning. So some people go, this is too much. I just want Apple or Microsoft and tell me which one to buy. I go, that's okay. We're probably not a good fit, because what we're doing is way deeper. So if you're looking for investment guidance and tax planning, in the same way I did the first 10 minutes of this video, that's how we like to do planning here at Root. So if this hasn't scared you away, I encourage you to reach out to schedule a call. If it has, great. Hopefully there's another advisor that you find is more in alignment with your speed and what you're looking for. That's it for today's video. Thanks, guys.